What's going on, guys? My name is Wade with TechDaily, and in this video we are checking out the new Samsung Galaxy S24 and S24 Plus. Now, Samsung actually brought a few new changes to their new flagship phones this year, including bigger, brighter displays, more powerful specs, and all the new AI features that are actually quite useful. I'll demo those in just a bit. But one other thing Samsung did this year is further differentiate the regular, smaller S24 from the larger S24 Plus. Size is no longer the only factor here, and the S24 Plus has a few special things that I think actually make it the phone to buy this year if you want the best combination of specs. I'm of course going to go over everything you need to know about these two phones, but first things first, let's just quickly unbox them so I can show you what comes included, and I do just want to go over the pricing, the colors, and the best places to buy all the new S24s so you can get yourself a good deal if you're interested. I'll go ahead and unbox them both here since, unsurprisingly, it's the same packaging and unboxing experience for each phone. Peeling back the stickers and sliding off the lid, there are the new S24s, of course. Now, I went with the Cobalt Violet and Amber Yellow as my color options for these. The S24 and S24 Plus do have the same color choices with Marble Gray and Onyx Black as the other two in-store options, and then Sandstone Orange, Sapphire Blue, and Jade Green as the Samsung.com exclusives. As far as what else is inside the boxes, well, technically nothing actually, but stuck inside the lid there is a cardboard insert with just a few more things. You still get a USB-C cable for charging, along with a quick start guide, and then a small SIM ejector tool fastened within a cardboard flap if you need that. So with all that stuff out of the way, here are the new S24s once again. And as we get them powered up, I do want to talk about pricing. Now this year, Samsung did increase the price of the S24 Ultra, but these regular S24 and S24 Plus devices are basically the same price as they have been for a few years now. The base model 128GB regular S24 starts at $799, and the only other storage option you have for that phone now is 256GB for $859. The base model S24 Plus comes with 256GB of storage for $999, and you can double that if you need to, up to 512GB for $1,119. So immediately in opting for the S24 Plus, you can get quite a bit more storage, but that's not the only spec that's different. The regular S24 also only ships with 8GB of RAM, at least here in the US, no matter the storage configuration. The S24 Plus has 12GB of RAM, so in doing a price-to-price or price-to-spec comparison, you should factor that in as well, especially if you use your phone for gaming or other high-intensity apps or tasks where more RAM will be beneficial. And one last point to make on this, Samsung did offer their double the storage on us pre-order promotion for these phones, so you could have gotten the higher storage capacity phone for the price of the lower spec model. But if you missed out on that, Amazon right now is still running a similar deal. They'll send you a $50 gift card if you buy either configuration of the regular S24 and a $150 gift card if you buy either storage option of the S24 Plus. It's not a bad deal, all things considered, and I'm not sure how many more days that'll last, but if you're interested, I'll leave a link to the Amazon listing down below in the video description. So at a glance, you may not be able to tell right away, but both the S24 and S24 Plus are slightly bigger this year. Well, their screen sizes are, at least. The regular S24 is now 6.2 inches corner to corner, up from 6.1, and the S24 Plus is 6.7 inches. Last year, it was 6.6. The change in screen size, though, doesn't really make the phones themselves that much larger physically, just a few millimeters all the way around. What Samsung did is simply make the bezels, those black borders around the display, quite a bit smaller. So you get more screen per inch of phone. The screen to body ratio is greater than 90% on both now, which is really impressive. Proportionally, the difference between these two phones is basically the same as it's always been. The S24 Plus is quite a bit taller and a little wider, and they each have their own pros and cons with that. The regular S24 continues to be one of the smallest phones on the market actually, and is super comfortable with one-handed use. While the S24 Plus, I feel like, is more in line with the big tall smartphones that most of us are used to nowadays. Both the front and rear glass of these S24s is still the Gorilla Glass Victus 2 material, The S24 Ultra is the one that gets the new Gorilla Glass armor, but these phones have what Samsung calls Armor Aluminum, which is supposed to be tougher and more scratch resistant. I'm not looking to test that anytime soon, but I can still appreciate a better build. And taking a look around at everything else, nothing on the left side of these phones. On the right side, the same old power button and volume buttons as always, just above a 5G antenna. A couple of microphone holes at the top. On the bottom, your USB-C port, speaker cutout, and the SIM card tray. Single physical SIM with eSIM support, no SD card support unfortunately, and if you're curious about how much storage you actually get out of the box, about 31 gigs is used up by Android and the pre-installed apps. There's the hole punch selfie camera up front just below the earpiece speaker, and around back a triple lens camera setup on each that I'll talk more about shortly. For unlocking and getting into the phones, the S24s have seemingly the same ultrasonic fingerprint sensor as in years past, and it feels just as fast and as accurate. So in addition to the display sizes being different, the display specs between these two phones are also different this year. And this is one more reason why I think the S24 Plus actually is the device to get. They're both dynamic LTPO AMOLED 2X panels that deliver super saturated, punchy colors, deep blacks, and a vibrant viewing experience that makes just about everything look good. They're both 120Hz displays, which makes everything from the visuals to the taps and touches ultra smooth and responsive, but the smaller regular S24 remains a 1080p resolution screen, 2340 by 1080 for around 416 pixels per inch. The S24 Plus, on the other hand, now has a Quad HD 3120 by 1440 resolution screen, which you do have to enable in settings, but when you do, you get both the dynamic 120Hz and the higher resolution for 513 pixels per inch and a viewing experience that is on par with the S24 Ultra. Now, arguably, are you going to be able to see the pixel difference? Likely not, but I think it's the principle of the thing. The S24 Plus now has the better screen objectively, and if you're particular about that, if you ever felt that a flagship phone should have a better than 1080 resolution display, the S24 Plus has you covered now. And one other thing, both these new S24s have brighter screens as well, maxing out at the same 2600 nits of peak brightness. That's really, really bright, brighter than any other smartphone that I know of, so that's one more thing to think about when considering these new phones. When it comes to the out loud listening experience, I'm not aware of any specific changes to the speakers on these phones. There's the dual speaker setup, same as always, and while they don't seem to be as loud as the S24 Ultra, they still sound pretty good. I'll pick you up when you are down, down. I will hold on tight and I will hold on tight and I will make it right. Forever I will be right by your side. Of course, powering these new phones is Qualcomm's newest chipset, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, an Adreno 750 GPU. If you're in some other parts of the world, you may see the Exynos 2400 in these phones, and like I mentioned earlier, you get 8 gigs of RAM in the regular S24 and 12 gigs in the S24 Plus. Here are the current Geekbench scores if you want some numbers to compare. In general, the performance difference between these two phones should be relatively minimal in everyday usage, if anything at all, but as you start to load up more and more apps, push these phones harder, and especially do some gaming, the extra RAM on the S24 Plus will probably ensure this phone stays speedy and keeps the apps current in the background a little bit better than the regular S24. Now, there's two other important things to note here, and they both pertain to the software. Samsung announced for the S24 line 7 years of update support, which means these phones will get all the new Android and One UI features presumably until 2031. That's pretty crazy. And buying an S24 now means you very well may not need to buy another new phone for years to come. People do tend to keep their phones for a lot longer nowadays anyway, but it's nice to see Samsung supporting that for longer than ever now. The other thing Samsung highlighted with these new S24s is the collection of new AI features that actually unlock a lot of new useful capabilities. Samsung partnered with Google to add things like live translate for both on-screen text, like messages and notes, and translations even during phone calls calls. There's note and writing assists with auto formatting, message suggestions, tone altering, and more. Generative photo editing, where you now have Photoshop-like smart edits for pictures. You can remove things from the background, move people and objects around, fill in extra space, change regular speed videos to slow-mo, and a whole lot more. And probably the most useful AI feature, circle to search. This is sort of like Google Lens or reverse image search on steroids. You can essentially circle anything you see on screen from any app, any image, any video, anything at all, and you'll then be able to get more information on whatever it is you're looking at. Circle to search is probably my favorite AI feature so far. I've used it all the time now, but all these Samsung AI features are quite useful, to be honest. They aren't some weird chatbot you have to train. They're solid features that actually enhance the day-to-day usage, and I feel like a lot of people will be utilizing those AI features rather than ignoring them as some unnecessary gimmick. Another area where Samsung improved the S24s this year is with battery life. The actual batteries themselves are a little bigger, 4,000 milliamps in the S24 and 4,900 milliamps in the S24 Plus, and while that's not a huge difference compared to last year, just a 100 to 200 milliamp increase, I think coupled with Android 14 and the newer processor and Samsung's continued battery optimization goals, that these phones should see some noticeable battery life improvements during day-to-day use. And I look forward to putting that to the test, of course. One other thing to note, the regular S24 supports 25-watt wired charging speeds, while the S24 Plus has 45-watt wired charging. So tack on another point in favor of the S24 Plus, that phone is going to charge quite a bit faster. The other power features, 15-watt wireless and 4.5-watt reverse wireless charging, remain the same on both devices. Finally, when it comes to the cameras, I feel like 100% of the attention this year was given to the S24 Ultra. So these S24s really don't get much of an upgrade at all. Hardware-wise, this is the same general setup as last year on both phones. There's the 50 megapixel main lens, a 10 megapixel telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide. The selfie camera is also the same 12 megapixel shooter, and inside the camera app, you'll be hard-pressed to find anything new or different with the shooting modes or features. Now, that's not to say that the actual images and videos won't look different from these phones. Coupled with a new processor and AI assistance, the processed images from these phones should generally look maybe a little sharper, have better contrast and exposure in low-light conditions, and the shutter should be faster at snapping pictures too. But overall, while the camera has always been a big focus in years past, this year, Samsung really didn't change much, and I'm not even sure I would call this a noticeable or noteworthy upgrade to the S24s. So what are the biggest changes? Well, for me personally, differentiating the S24 Plus with more RAM, faster charging, and a better display, I think make that phone finally something to get excited about. The AI features, bigger batteries, and brighter displays on both phones are also a welcome change, but what do you guys think of the new S24 and S24 Plus? Did Samsung bring enough new stuff here to warrant an upgrade? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, of course. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video though. Be sure to follow TechDaily on Twitter and subscribe to the TechDaily YouTube channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys later.